This is our homemade Jaws scene. You guys have been requesting it for quite a while. So we decided to do it. It's a little shorter than the scenes we usually do, but hey, it's a super classic movie line. Everyone loves this moment. It's short. Hey, why not do it? And give us more time to focus on making a sweet homemade shark. So here's how we put the whole thing together. What do you think?
It's so cool. How did you do it?
For the role of Brody, we cast our friend Nate, and his costume was pretty simple, just a black turtleneck and the little long sleeve kind of jacket thing, and then you just need the dorky glasses and a cigarette. I played Quint in this one. He's the grizzly old dude who's got some shaggy hair, baseball cap, and rad sideburns. This little beauty used to be part of the wig that became Bruce Willis's hair. It was the top portion that was chopped out to make the receding hairline, and now it's gonna be cut in half and made into two really sweet sideburns. And then he has a cool mustache and big old jacket, and that's really just it. And then he just looks old and grizzled. He's a mad fish. For the interior shots of the boat, we just shot that inside my living room. The ceiling had just the right lines going the right direction. We have a door, almost a window in the right place. It's so funny, every time I look up and I see the movie. To make it look like it was moving on the ocean, we hung up a lantern, and they have a hammock in there, so we just hung the side of the curtain up. And then we pulled it with some fishing string to just give it that constant motion. And then I just kind of move a little bit in it, and then the camera moves a little bit, and all together, it just kind of has that sea look to it, like everything's sort of moving. Stop the boat. I said stop the boat. For the exterior shots facing the boat, we just shot in front of my shed because it had kind of a similar shape and height to it. We put up some poles, tied a bunch of ropes going down in different directions, set up a jib, and we even made the shape of a door and a window with some duct tape just so the shapes are kind of there. One of the characters, Hooper, is in the background and he's up on the roof, so we just had Ben climb up on the roof, and we have a little cardboard structure, fake wheel, whatever up there, just to kind of get the general sense that this is the boat. Obviously this is not wide open ocean, we have the tree there, but you don't really pay attention to that. As long as the main shapes are there, it seems pretty good. To make it look like there's a lot of wind because we're on the sea, we just have John standing off to the side, just flapping a big piece of cardboard really fast, and it actually pushes a lot of wind.
You look totally normal, John.
I made a wind machine.
It's better than trying to use a fan or anything, really, except for that John's arms are pretty tired now.
Yeah, cool. At the end, I'm just like...
So we got to make a big homemade Jaws. There's lots of ways you could do this, but for us it was making it pretty much life-size.
Someone ordered the shark?
We want to pull it out of the water in the real shot with the real actor. So we turned to our gray trash barrels that we used for our Star Wars trench. We have two of them just sitting around now. Figured that would be a good base. We start with a big tube, cut off the ends, and we decided to use some chicken wire and kind of build the nose and build the shapes off the front of the trash barrel. To make this thing really sturdy, instead of just using glue, we used a lot of wire and bolts and stuff because we had no idea how this thing was gonna hold together once we got it in water. This is probably the most sturdy structure we've ever made just because we didn't want it to fall apart in the water. The bottom jaw was really important to get the overall shark shape. We used a big piece of just metal, so we bent that down, fastened it to the side, then we just had to fasten a bunch of teeth onto it. So we bought a packet of little plastic spoons and just cut them to points, and they look a lot like shark teeth, the way they have the kind of curve to them, and they were really sharp too. Had to cut the tips off so we didn't cut ourselves. All of those teeth are fastened on individually with not only glue, but with wire, because again, we didn't know if once we put this thing in the water, all the teeth are just gonna fall off. We sprayed the bottom of the gums pink and the inside of the mouth pink, made a separate piece for the top of the mouth that's just kind of bits of plastic. But once the overall shape was set, it was time to cover the thing, and we used a big gray tarp. And then we stuck some eyes on there. Those are just little furniture, plastic things that you put on the bottom of furniture, painted in black. And then we made a fin, just a piece of wire, and fastened that on. But it's pretty life-size, bigger than most normal sharks probably. So once we had this sucker built, it was time to take it to the pool. To get this thing to go underwater and pop out of the water, we built a PVC rig that kind of sticks off the side so that we could just dunk it down, and we actually pull it up with a rope, pull the pipe up, and see if you can kind of maneuver it. Once we did put it into the water, we noticed that, first of all, it didn't sink very well because all the air stuck in the nose. So we just cut some slits and gills actually. But then once it was underwater and we tried to pull it out, it still kind of retained a lot of water in it and it got too heavy. So just had to put some more slits right in the tarp so that not only did the air drain out, but when you pull it out, the water could drain out. So we've got the shark in the pool. Yeah, it seems to be doing okay in the water. It was fairly neutral as far as its buoyancy, which was good. It didn't float too much and it didn't sink too much, but it is so heavy that it didn't move very fast. But after some practicing, we got it to pop out in the right spot and we got Nate there doing his line. It's a long shot, so getting the line right, throwing the chum in the water, and then having the shark pop out at the right moment was kind of a challenge. We did it many times. For the little pieces of chum that he's throwing in the water, we just used some little maroon balloons. I filled them a little bit with water and a little bit with air. That way they still have a weight to them and they could kind of plunk in the water, but then they wouldn't sink and we have to go fishing them out. And then I kind of put some other ripped shards and scraps of water balloon and just tied it so it kind of looked fleshy and gross. Also, we didn't want to see the shark beforehand because it's supposed to be a surprise when it comes out. So we put it down all the way down in the deep end as far as it would go, and then we just splashed the water on the surface. And John has like a beach ball that he's just pushing on the water to kind of get it to ripple. So hopefully you don't see the shark until it finally does come out. In one of the takes, the beach ball that John was using to ripple the water got loose, so it just kind of goes across in the frame, and then at that same moment, the PVC broke, and so the shark was done. So everything just totally went wrong in that one shot, but at that point, I think we had enough good takes that we think we got the shot.
John, gotta save the shark.
The shark. What's funny is on the original production of Jaws, they had trouble with the shark as well. They had mechanical issues with the underwater and some of the same things that we had to deal with. So in some ways, our production isn't that different than what they went through. The final shot of the water where it's kind of just blood, we just cut up a red blanket and sort of made it look like a pool of blood. And we figured we'd just put that in the water so it could kind of float along the surface. It didn't actually sit on the surface the way we had planned. It pretty much just sank and looked a little too much like a blanket. But what I realized is that once it started sinking and got below the surface, you can't really tell what it is. It's just some red stuff and then the water splashing. So that ended up working out pretty good. And you do see the nose of Jaws going in, so we had to like just peek his nose out next to the blanket and then pull it in at the right moment. And that's our homemade Jaws. Let me know if you have any other questions on how we made it and I'll answer back in the comments. And let me know what your other favorite movie lines are that you might want to see us try. So subscribe to Cinefix. We have new episodes every Tuesday. We'll see you next week. Oh, man, fish breath. I'm seasick.
Help! It ate me. I'll drill my way out.
Look, we're shooting in the sun, okay?
Yeah, keep it shaded. I'm just gonna stay up here and work on my fan.
You're free to go. Jaws.